Gravity Falls is one of the greatest shows of all time.
So, I don't really have any stories about the making of this review or anything. I literally filmed it right after doing the Candace Gets Busted one. I guess the only thing I can say is that this was the last Kids Are Smarter Than This I would do where I was even remotely happy, until finally getting my new job 10 months later. But anyway, The Love God. This is definitely one of the better episodes I've covered for this series. I'd probably say it's second best after Girl Meets the Bay Window. I really like the subplot with Stan and Seuss, and the main plot isn't too terrible. The thing is, they could have very easily fixed it. Just say the love potion wears off after 12 hours or so, and that Robbie and Tambry had just genuinely grown to love each other. It would have fixed so many implications. The only other problem with the episode, besides being kinda boring, is that the whole point is to make us like Robbie. Or at least make us happy that he's happy. No, if that's the point of your episode, you're going to have to try a lot harder than this and probably sacrifice a virgin. Because Robbie is not a likable character. He's an asshole, and while he's not the most unlikable character and had a few moments of redeemability, it would take a lot more than he's a bit sad that Wendy won't date him to make me want to see him happy. And as it turns out, there's another episode that tries to make the audience sympathize with a repugnant character, but actually managed to pull it off. And wouldn't you believe it, it's the very next episode, Northwest Mansion Mystery. And not only is this a better version of The Love God, it's also the scariest episode in the series. And with it being October, what better time to review it? So we open up with our titular Northwest Mansion.
I must say, the guest list for this year's party has so much diversity.
Yes, a nice mix of millionaires and billionaires.
Still more diverse than most 1% gatherings. The Northwest parents tell Pacifica to go change her dress.
I kinda like it.
Mind your mother, Pacifica.
But...
That was kinda creepy. Suddenly, all the plates and silverware start floating, as you do, and begin to attack.
Yes! You are my possessions! Obey me!
What I say to my laptop and car every single day.
Parties in just 24 hours!
Surely there's someone who could handle this sort of nonsense?
There is, but don't call him Shirley.
An entire 48-hour marathon of ghost harassers.
Hey, they may be dead, but that doesn't mean they should be harassed. #Ghost2. But the program is interrupted by some breaking news.
The Northwest family's annual High Society Shindig Ball Soiree is here.
If this thing had been planned, then it isn't breaking news. I don't care what CNN says. So none of the common folk are let in, they just want to watch the fancy people. As the girls fawn over the fanciness, there's a knock at the door.
I need your help.
She comes to ask for his help in vanquishing the ghost, but Dipper doesn't want to help because of all the bad shit she did. And right there, he's already smarter than Mabel was in Love God. Don't help out shitty people unless you can get something out of it. And thankfully they can. She invites them all to the party, exciting the girls. The animation in this episode is fucking phenomenal, by the way. I mean, the lighting and shadows are so damn good. The girls are blown away by the fanciness, and they even get goodie bags with live quail. How much are quail eggs worth anyway? Holy shit!
Hopefully you can help us with our little situation before the guests arrive in an hour.
Why did you guys wait so long to get help? You deserve every bad thing that will happen to you. Pacifica puts Dipper in a suit as he wonders who she's trying to impress.
You wouldn't understand. High standards are what make the Northwest family great.
Your ancestor shovels shit for a living. Piss off. Our subplot is Mabel, Grenda, and Candy fawning over rich boys.
Forget the quail, I'm putting him in my guest basket.
So you're gonna kidnap him. Good for you. What the hell is Mabel's dress anyway? Dipper and Pacifica go into the room where the hauntings are happening as Dipper tries to find it with his fancy glowing stick. But honestly, I think you could have just saved time and money by just looking at the painting with no eyes. Then it disappears and this happens. Perfect family entertainment. That's the only time I'm gonna do that joke because if I kept it up, this video would be an hour long. The heads start chanting ancient sins as Dipper realizes that this ghost is way more dangerous than he thought. Then a flaming skeleton with an axe in its head comes out of the fire, as you do, and transforms into the lumberjack from the painting. Dipper tries to find a way to defeat it.
Advice.
You know, looking back, That book was pretty useless. As it chases them, we cut back to the main hall where the guests arrive.
Tonight we will enjoy only the finest of tastes and only the snootiest of laughter.
So much snootiness.
Cheese, chocolate, cheese, chocolate.
Candy never got out of that cheese-chocolate conundrum and died of dehydration. The rich Austrian boy arrives and Candy and Mabel are finding it hard not to go flirt with him. They decide to try and talk to him together, their combined cuteness hopefully being enough to get his attention, but they leave Grenda out because they're fucking awful. Back with Dipper and Pacifica, they run through the garden as Dipper finds out that they can trap the ghost in a silver mirror. They see one, but Pacifica doesn't want them messing up the carpet in that room since it's her parents' favorite pattern. Goddamn rich people and their rugs! They stumble into a secret room when this happens.
Pacifica! Watch out!
That was absolutely horrifying, but Dipper manages to trap it in a mirror and Pacifica even gives him a hug. He leaves to get rid of the ghost when it starts to tell his tale of woe. 150 years ago, the Northwest got all the lumberjacks to build them a mansion, promising that every year they would throw a party and all the townsfolk would be invited. But when it was all done and many had already died, they didn't hold up their end of the deal. Then he was swept away in a mudslide and had an axe thrown into his head. Overall, not a very good day.
So I said with final breath, 150 years I'll return from death. And if the gate's still closed to town, wealthy blood will stay in the ground.
Why wait 150 years? Just come back as soon as possible. The assholes who did this to you would be long dead by then. Say what you will about the Sanderson sisters, even they had a better comeback plan than this. Dipper gets pissed off that all the Northwest had to do was let in the townsfolk, but Mr. Northwest refuses. Not sure why it doesn't just throw a cheap party once a year to hold off the curse, but then again, I'm not sure why the 1% in the real world don't give up some of their enormous wealth to make sure our economy doesn't collapse and climate change doesn't kill us, so this is actually very realistic. Sorry about that tangent.
I'm sorry, they made me. I should have told you, but...
Seriously, that is fucking creepy. Pissed off, Dipper goes off to vanquish the ghost permanently, but while holding up the mirror, the spirit makes it hot, and he breaks it as the ghost escapes. But before we get to the vengeance, we have to go back to the subplot with Mabel and the girls. After Mabel and Candy do some flirting, Grenda finds out what they're doing, pranks the Austrian boy, and the three head off in a huff. The ghosts arrive, and now I guess he's gonna fly them all around the room, or make everything come to life and start chasing them.
That was scary.
Okay, so this episode isn't fucking around, and also he does bring all the dead animals to life, so I guess everybody's getting revenge.
Please, help me!
You know, we really don't do enough to scare children shitless anymore. This is why I'm glad Gravity Falls existed. Dipper tries to get Pacifica to open the gates to lift the curse, but she's too afraid. The ghost has turned everyone to wood as Dipper tries to stop him.
Hear it again! No, wait! Someone help! Someone help!
Well, that's the end of the series, kids. Bye. Also, good continuity. Pacifica agrees to open the gates, but her dad tells her not to, saying they can stay in the panic room.
There's enough mini sandwiches and oxygen to last you, me, and a butler a full week. We'll eat the butler.
He even rings the bell again, but it doesn't work and Pacifica opens up the gate, freeing everyone as the ghost can finally rest in peace. Although seeing what these people do at the party, I kinda get why they didn't want to let him in. Oh, and the girls make up as Grenda ends up getting the Austrian boy. As you do. So with Pacifica redeemed, they enjoy the party. But McGucket shows up, telling Dipper something is happening.
And I think something terrible is coming. The apocalypse! The end times!
You know what, McGucket? How about we talk about this stuff tomorrow?
Yeah, what's the worst that could happen? Oddly, the computer says they have 21 days left, which was actually the time between this episode and the next one airing. And that's actually one of the shorter periods between episodes this show had, which is how a show with 40 episodes lasted 4 years. Also, the end credits have the secret agent sneaking into the party as the end message reads Stan is not what he seems 3 times, which is weird since Stan was not in this episode. You know those lists everyone makes, the creepiest episodes of kids shows? Well, this should be high up on every single one of them. In a series full of dark, disturbing, and sometimes twisted episodes, none of them creep me out as much as this one. The atmosphere is amazing, it always has this creepy feel to it. The ghost is legit threatening, and the stuff he can do is terrifying. Bringing dead animals back to life and turning people into wood, the thought of being frozen solid for all eternity is horrifying to me. Like, do you stay conscious? Can you never die? We see Dipper takes a deep breath when the curse is lifted, so if they had stayed that way for too long, would they have suffocated? This is some pretty dark shit. But it's also funny. I didn't even show all the funny quips from Pacifica's parents. And for an episode with no Stan or Seuss, who are usually the funniest characters, it still manages to have a laugh-a-minute ratio. The actual mystery is pretty compelling, and Dipper and Pacifica actually have good chemistry. Too bad they ended up doing nothing with it. In fact, Pacifica wouldn't appear much until the final few episodes. The only thing I'm mixed on is the subplot with Mabel and her friends. It has its moments, but was kind of predictable and tackles the same Mabel really likes boys story that we have seen so many times by this point. So how does this do well what the Love God did poorly? It makes me sympathize with a character that up until this point was treated as a villain. For all of season 1, Pacifica was just a generic mean girl bully, just like Robbie was a generic mean boy bully. But unlike Robbie, starting in the Gulf War, they did start to give her a bit of development. And in this episode, they really show that the reason she acts this way is because of bad parenting, as opposed to Robbie, who had really nice parents. We have no idea why Pacifica is so afraid of that bell, but I can imagine several scenarios that makes me feel really sorry for her. And Dipper doesn't automatically trust her, and she has to prove herself in order to be fully redeemed. This is probably one of the best examples of the bully becoming nice trope that I've seen. This is a great episode, and it still probably wouldn't even make it into my top 10 episodes of the series. That's how good this show is. So again, if you have not seen Gravity Falls, go watch it right now. It's been off the air for 3.5 years. There's a whole series DVD box set. Go watch it now. So next time is Life with Derek. Power Failure is one of the worst episodes I've reviewed, and given that next month is November, which is typically the time we have elections in the US, I think I know the perfect episode to cover. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.